Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes. So, as I was out there, I met some of the researchers in my other life, which is a strategy, innovation, and entrepreneurship scholar who are also here for another conference. And they said, "Oh, you're here as a speaker." I said, "No, I'm here as a learner." And in fact, even though I'm here speaking in front of you, what I have so enjoyed is hearing from people that I'm meeting for the very first time, like Jason, like you, like Maggie, who gave a talk. And what I'm finding out is just how much we're resonating with each other, even though we have not scripted any of our talks. So one of the things that I'm hoping that you take out of these talks, because you're at this very precious moment in your life, where you have the luxury to truly invest in yourself. Use this time wisely. Think, as Jason is talking about, asking you to do, and chart your future life. So what I'm going to do with you today is share a little bit about the frameworks that I have started to think through in terms of what is very productive, and I call it, enterprising ability and aspiration. And again, the premise of my talk, as with many of the ones that you've already heard, is about you being in control of your destiny. And so what is enterprise about as it relates to these two themes? So think of yourself, me incorporated. You've heard this multiple different times, I'm sure. I am the CEO. Well, what does being a CEO require you to do? Are you thinking like a CEO? So there are 4 questions that I'm going to leave you with that I would like you to answer for yourself very specifically. So what does thinking like a CEO mean? First off, I'm a strategy scholar. What is your purpose or mission statement? How many of you have written a purpose or a mission statement for yourself? Okay. My hope is I've got about 25% of you raising your hands. What I'd like to do is challenge you that by the end of this conference, you at least start formulating what your purpose or mission statement is. The second is, what does success look like for you? The third that I'm going to talk about is, this is not working. What is your value proposition? Notice that I first and foremost started with you. What is your purpose? What does success look like to you? And now I'm moving on to trade relationships. What is your value proposition? And then finally, the choice, not just of the fact that you have value to offer, but more importantly, the other person have better value to offer for you. So thinking about with whom should you trade, requiring you, as Jason has already talked about, to create win-win relationships. So, what is your purpose or mission statement? John Allison says it very well in one of his talks. He says almost everybody, not everybody, but almost everybody, the context of their mission is you want to make the world a better place to live. How many of you feel that way? That you want to make the world a better place to live. He says, but very often what happens is that we ignore the second part of purpose, which is by doing something important for yourself. So the reason why Greg said morality tells you that you have a stop sign in front of you is because we're only used to thinking about making the world a better place to live, so that we're thinking in terms of others, but not necessarily about ourselves. And doing something important for yourself is very critical, because if you don't do that, what you have done is wasted the most important resource, which is you. Right? So start thinking about your mission statement having both of these components in it. So, the second question is, what does success look like to you? Now, often, you don't want to be thinking, particularly at your age, success looks like to me when I'm dead, decrepit, or just about to die, right? What does success look like at the end of my life? So I like to make it very concrete. Write down for you, what does success look like for you in, say, 5 years? Right? That helps you think long-term enough. Why 5 years? Because it's not today, and it's not tomorrow. It requires you to think out, plan out your next 5 years with your purpose and your mission, and it allows you to spend time investing resources, because if something is important, if something resembles success, it is going to be something that's going to require hard work and effort as well, right? So, what does success look like for Mark Watney? How many of you have seen The Martian? A good handful, right? If you haven't, this is the one movie you should see. Not just this year, next year. Again, I intend to own it as soon as it comes out on video, right? So what does success look like to Mark Watney? Any thoughts? Yes? Not dying, right? That's important. Agreed? What else? Getting home, right? Someone might say potatoes, in which case it's a spoiler to those of you who haven't seen the movie, right? So there's a critical point in the movie when Mark Watney actually thinks that he may not make it home. So he will die, and he will not be able to come home. So he says, tell my parents. Now, this is the last time you're going to ever, in your mind, going to have a conversation with your parents. What do you think Mark Watney says? Tell my parents I love them, right? Is that something that you would say? Right? He does start with, tell my parents I love what I do, and I'm very good at it. And if I were to die, then I have died for something that is so much bigger than myself. That's what success looked like for Mark Watney. Okay? So let's talk about what that means. It relates to both ability and aspiration. So I like 2x2s because I like to simplify my world into thinking about it two at a time. So on the right, on the x-axis there, I have ability, what you're good at. Either you're low at it or you're not good at it, right? So good at it or not good at it. On the y-axis, I have aspiration, what you love. Now, Maggie gave a very, very good talk about finding the career you love in one of the breakout sessions. And many of the things that she said really resonated with me as she was talking about it. In fact, in most convocation talks, people will say, find your passion, particularly in the United States. I had one Silicon Valley person actually say, I say, don't follow your passion. Okay? If you follow your passion, you may not be good at it. Do something that you're good at. But notice that we're creating this false alternative, that either you do something that you're good at, or we're not even talking about the alternative of doing something just for the sake of others, right? We're still talking about you. Even in that realm, let's not think about what you're good at and what you love as two different and opposite things. Because what happens? If you're doing something that you're not very good at or you don't love, where are you? This is misery. How many of you want to be in this box? None, right? If you do something that you really, really love, but you're not very good at it, that's a hobby. By the way, the term hobby comes from the term pony, hobby horse. A pony that goes around and around in circles, but doesn't really get anywhere, right? So it's fun, but you're not getting anywhere. If you're doing something that you're good at, but you don't really enjoy, this is what you were saying, Maggie, this is just another job. You're not getting the skills out of it. When you do both, that's your vocation. It's a calling. Now, what's important to keep in mind out here is that in that extreme right-hand box, right, in that corner, what you have is a very virtuous spiral. If you love something, you're going to invest in wanting to become good at it. And when you become good at something, that gives you self-esteem. And self-esteem allows you to enjoy what you're doing and love what you do. So when you go into this idea of being good at something and loving what you do, what you've created is a very virtuous spiral for yourself. And that's what's going to give you that purpose and mission, so that you're doing something that's important to yourself. Which brings me to the making the world a better place component to it, which relates to what is your value proposition. Again, think about this, write it down for yourself. In, say, 5 years, what is it that I want to be developing as my value proposition? Because again, I'm going to repeat it. This is a critical time where you get to invest in yourself. And so invest wisely. Again, the way I look at it, value according to Warren Buffett, your premium brand had better be about delivering something special, or it's not going to get the business. The focus out here is not on I'm special. Of course you're special, right? Too often I think we're taught to think that we're too special, right? But the point out here is, what is special about me that is important to you? Which is what we call the feature-benefit matrix. Again, another 2x2. You can think about the uniqueness of your feature, that which is special about you. And then you can think about benefits or value to the consumer, the person that you want to provide value for. Again, what you don't want to be is in this bottom box where you've got nothing special to offer that's of no value to anyone else, because that's likely to get you either undistinguished and unemployed, right? If, however, you do offer value to someone else, but you're not very unique, then you're in this case of, I know I'm fine, but so are you, and so are you, and so are you. So how do you stand out as creating distinguished, unique value? If you're on this box, where you're very unique, but nobody values it, well, you're the belle or the prince of the ball, but nobody's coming to your party. So again, where you want to be is in this area where you've got something really unique about yourself, which is creating value. Am I really out of time already? Wow, time flies. Okay, so you're great and hired and promoted. I'm going to take 2 minutes to wrap up. So coming back to this issue of what's your purpose and mission statement as it relates to this last question, with whom should you trade? This is where, again, I'm going to go back to a quote with Ayn Rand, which I really like, again from the Fountainhead. A creator is motivated by the desire to achieve, not the desire to beat others. The critical aspect about voluntary relationships, and we often think about competition, right? So when I teach strategy, the general way to do it is how to create competitive advantage. So strategy is immediately about how am I going to beat you, or how am I going to beat the other competitors or the other people that are around me. But really, capitalism is not about competition. Capitalism is about cooperation. It's about collaboration. It's about trade and creating win-win relationships. So if you think about relationships in trade, this is where you think about the benefit to you, doing something that's important to yourself, and the benefit to others, making the world a better place. Okay? If you're doing something that's of low benefit to you and low benefit to the others, you're in a lose-lose situation. If you're doing something that is of low benefit to you but a benefit to the others, then you are losing, the other person is winning. And of course, the other way is you're winning, but the other person's losing. The challenge is that both of those end up with lose-lose relationship. This is what you're saying, Jason, when you say play the long game. Think about how you're creating value, not just for yourself, but the others. So what you really want to be at is this win-win relationship. So what is enterprising ability and aspiration? Your mission statement should be around making the world a better place, doing something important to yourself. Success, at the end of the day, is loving what you do and being very good at it. Your value proposition, creating unique features for yourself that provide value in trade. And then finally, seeking win-win relationships, collaboration, not competition, is the hallmark of trade. I leave you with these two quotes that I find very inspiring personally. As it relates to ability, in times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to live in a world that no longer exists. And as it relates to aspiration, again a quote by Eric Hoffer. This is not working. Okay. We are told that talent creates its own opportunities, but it sometimes seems that intense desire creates not only its own opportunities, but also its own talents. Thank you very much.